Hello, everybody. I'm Lourdes Royce, and today I'm discussing accessibility, diversity, and inclusion in the outdoors. Before we dive in, though, I want to give a little background about myself. I'm a white presenting Latina. I've grown up completely immersed in the natural world. Before I could even walk, my parents took me hiking, camping, and swimming at the beach. But I soon realized this was not the case for many people in my community. I live in Palm Springs, Florida, where the majority of the population is Hispanic or Latinx. I wanted to make this podcast to explore why being in nature is nearly a foreign concept to many of my Hispanic, Latinx, and non-white friends and family members. In a phone interview with my friend Farisha Khan, she told me that she hasn't had many outdoor experiences. When Farisha was little, her mom worked a lot and basically took care of her entire family. There was never any time for them to explore the outdoors. Due to a lack of exposure and experience, Farisha distanced herself from nature, associating it with gross insects and a certain danger factor that she was not interested in. Only through field trips in her environmental science class did she start to open up to the outdoors. She told me stories of tromping through marshes to collect microorganisms and canoeing with her friends. I soon realized how important these field trips were, and unfortunately, how undervalued they really are. Farisha told me that her environmental science class was the only class in her entire high school that took students on these nature-based field trips. I also talked to my friend Jennifer Contreras about her experiences with nature.
I rarely go outdoors.
Jennifer told me that she's only been camping once, but she had a lot of fun and would do it again. She also talked about how her family wants to go hiking in North Carolina, but off days for her parents are few and far between, and she doubts that they will ever get a chance to go. Aside from long working hours, her family faces another barrier to inclusion in the outdoors. When she went camping, Jennifer noticed that almost everyone around her was white.
I think we might have been the only Hispanic family there.
While she said she still felt welcomed in the outdoors, she mentioned that her parents do feel a little alienated from nature, and that the outdoors is a very whitewashed place. I've invited my mom, Jennifer Royce, to share the story of her journey to connecting to the outdoors as Latina and sharing her love for nature through education.
I grew up in Chicago as a city girl and didn't really hang out in nature very much. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, so she was very nervous about, there being things that could injure me.
Much like my friends, my mom didn't really have many outdoor experiences with her family when she was young. In high school, my mom's love for science blossomed, and she knew she wanted to study marine biology, so she went to St. Petersburg, Florida to attend Eckerd College. There, she met friends who grew up around nature and dragged her on camping trips. She became more acquainted with the outdoors in her college days, but it wasn't until she became a naturalist in West Palm Beach that she fully embraced nature. Her favorite job? Working as director of education for Loggerhead Marine Life Center, a turtle hospital.
Talk about dreams come true. It was great. I was able to do exhibitry, do quality programs for school children, able to translate programs for people that spoke Spanish. All my life, people didn't give me that importance of what I was doing was important. And to be able to translate into different languages so people that can understand that, pouring resources into nature is important, that it is valuable and could be important in their lives as well.
Later on, my sister and I came along, and my mom decided to stay in the realm of education and become a high school science teacher so she could spend more time with us.
I've given assignments to high school students who are not familiar with going camping or are not familiar with being in the outdoors where, they've had to go out and experience nature. And they come back and telling me that it wasn't as scary as they thought it was going to be, or it was a much more pleasant experience. And just the plain fact that they didn't even know or were aware of all of the natural areas that we have access to. I feel like I'm in the front line. I throw up pictures of local areas of where they can go, of low cost or no cost. That's what I can give, knowledge and power, and realizing that these are areas that are open for everybody, not just a select few.
While my mom tries her hardest in the classroom to give her students the resources to get into the outdoors, sometimes field trips are the only way students are able to experience nature.
Children that were coming in from their elementary schools or middle schools or high schools that were coming for field trips was really when it was, their first time experiencing being out in a natural area or being out at the beach learning about sea turtle rehabilitation. People think it's just a frivolous thought because a lot of their families are busy working or, they're caring for siblings, or that's just not something that they consider, something to do on their free time. And so really going on a school field trip was their opportunity to experience that, many for the first time. Dollars and cents these days, it's hard to get kids to get out of the school setting and onto buses and going to these different places. Usually in the spring, buses can't even leave to go on field trips because schools are pretty much on lockdown because of testing. Bless those teachers that have the opportunity to take their children out and to be able to do those types of field trips. It's so wonderful, not just as a learning experience, but it really is a whole mind-body experience.
We've discussed some of the barriers to the outdoors that Latinxes and people of color experience in their lives. A lack of time due to long working hours, language barriers, lack of information, lack of funds, and a multitude of other hurdles are keeping minorities from enjoying nature. Not only does this steal valuable enrichment from the lives of Latinxes and people of color, but it harms nature as well. As Jennifer Contreras puts it,
I feel like when you actually go out and, you connect with nature and you see it firsthand, and it makes you want to protect it more, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Creating bonds with nature promotes stewardship of our land and water. A huge group of people are being left out of the environmental movement because nature is inaccessible to them. It's time to change that. This has been a podcast by Lourdes Royce. Thanks for listening.